I've always been a creature of habit. Wake up at 5:30 a.m., brew a pot of black coffee strong enough to strip paint, and head out to whatever dead-end job pays the bills. For the past 6 months, that job has been at Oceanic Delicacies, a sprawling warehouse on the outskirts of Port Haven, a foggy coastal town in Maine where the air always smells like salt and decay. The gig? Quality control tester for shrimp. Yeah, you heard that right. My job is to eat shrimp. Or at least what I thought was shrimp. It started innocently enough. I saw the ad on a job board online. No experience necessary, competitive pay, must have a strong stomach and no seafood allergies. I figured, why not? I'd been laid off from my last position at the cannery, something about automation replacing human hands, and my savings were dwindling faster than the tide recedes. The interview was a joke. A quick chat with a bored HR rep named Marlene, who handed me a form and a pen. "Sign here and you're in," she said. Her eyes glazed like she'd repeated the line 1,000 times. The warehouse was massive, a labyrinth of conveyor belts, humming freezers, and the constant clatter of machinery. My station was in a sterile white room at the back, isolated from the main floor. It was called the tasting lab, but it felt more like a clinical exam room. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, a metal table with a stool, and a one-way mirror on the wall that I swore someone was always watching from behind. Every day, I'd clock in, don a hairnet and gloves, and wait for the samples. The process was simple. A slot in the wall would open, and a tray would slide out with 10 to 15 shrimp, peeled and deveined, sometimes raw, sometimes cooked in various seasonings. I'd eat them one by one, noting texture, flavor, freshness on a digital tablet. Too salty? Mark it. Rubbery? Flag it. Off-putting aftertaste? Report it. Then the tray would retract and another would appear. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. It was monotonous, but the pay was $25 an hour plus benefits. In Port Haven, that was a king's ransom. At first, I loved it. Shrimp had always been a guilty pleasure. Cocktail shrimp at parties, shrimp scampi on date nights back when I had those. The samples were premium, plump, juicy, with that briny snap you only get from fresh catch. I'd chew slowly, savoring the burst of ocean flavor, the subtle sweetness beneath the salt. My notes were glowing, excellent firmness, perfect balance of umami, no fishy undertone. I even started dreaming about shrimp, endless platters floating in a sea of cocktail sauce. But around week 3, things got weird. It started with textures. One batch felt off, like the meat was too fibrous, almost stringy, as if threads of something tougher were woven in. I noted it, slightly chewy, possible overprocessing. The next day, another tray came with shrimp that wriggled faintly when I picked them up. I blinked, thinking it was a trick of the light. But no, tiny spasms, like they weren't quite dead. Residual nerve activity? I typed, my fingers hesitating. In the cannery days, I'd seen fish twitch postmortem. But shrimp? They were supposed to be inert. I mentioned it to Marlene during my weekly check-in. She laughed it off, her voice tinny over the intercom. "Oh, that's just the new sourcing. We're testing deep-sea varieties, fresher than fresh. Keeps the flavor locked in." I nodded, but a seed of doubt planted itself. Deep-sea shrimp? I had never heard of such a thing being commercially viable. Port Haven's waters were shallow, battered by storms, not the abyssal depths. As weeks turned to months, The anomalies piled up. Some shrimp had an iridescent sheen, like oil on water, shifting colors under the light, blue to green to purple. Others tasted metallic, a coppery tang that lingered on my tongue for hours. I started getting headaches after shifts, pounding migraines that blurred my vision. At home, I'd collapse on my couch, staring at the ceiling, feeling like something was crawling under my skin. One night, after a particularly odd batch, shrimp that popped like caviar when bitten, releasing a viscous fluid, I dreamed vividly. I was underwater, in a vast, dark ocean trench. Bioluminescent shapes darted around me. Not fish, but elongated things with too many segments. Glowing eyes clustered in rows. They pulsed with light, beckoning. I reached out, and one latched onto my hand, its mouth parts unfolding like petals. I woke up gasping, my palm itching where nothing was there. The next shift, the trays came faster, no breaks between them. I'd barely finished logging one batch before another slid out. The shrimp were larger now, almost prawn-sized, with veins that pulsed faintly under the translucent flesh. I bit into one, and it squirted, warm, not cold like it should be. The flavor was richer, almost creamy, with an undercurrent of something earthy, like soil after rain mixed with blood. I flagged it, unusual temperature, sample warm upon arrival. Flavor profile altered. No response from the intercom. Usually Marlene or someone would chime in with excuses. Silence. My body had started to change. I noticed it in the mirror one morning. My skin looked paler, veins more prominent, especially around my neck and wrists, bluish lines threading under the surface. I itched constantly, scratching until I bled. The headaches evolved into something worse, whispers, faint at first, like static in my ears, words I couldn't make out, bubbling up from somewhere deep. At work, the one-way mirror seemed to fog sometimes, as if breath was on the other side. I'd catch glimpses of movement in the reflection, shadows shifting when I wasn't looking directly. The shrimp, God, the shrimp started looking different, not just in texture or taste, but shape. Some had extra ridges along the tail, tiny protrusions like nascent limbs. Others had what looked like eye spots, dark dots that followed me as I lifted them to my mouth. I tried to quit once, went to Marlene's office after a shift, my tablet clutched in shaking hands. "This isn't right," I said. "The samples, they're not normal shrimp." She smiled, that same glazed expression. "Nonsense. You're our best tester. Top scores every week. Here's a bonus." She slid an envelope across the desk. $500 cash. I took it. Bills don't pay themselves. That night, the itching intensified. In the shower, I scratched my forearm raw, and something moved beneath the skin. A ripple, like a worm burrowing. I stared, water cascading over me, convinced it was hallucination. But no, it happened again. A small bulge traveling up my arm, then vanishing. The dreams grew more frequent. Always the trench, the glowing creatures. But now they spoke, not with voices, but impressions. Hunger, ancient patience, a promise of belonging. I'd wake with salt crust under my lips, even though I lived miles from the shore. The trays never stopped. I'd eat hundreds a day, my stomach distending painfully, but I never felt full. The shrimp were alive now, unmistakably, They'd curl when touched, actual antennae twitching. Some tried to escape the tray, scuttling toward the edge. I'd pin them with a fork, force them down. The taste was exquisite agony, sweet decay, electric vitality surging through me. My notes became erratic. Sample exhibits motility. Recommend halt. Flavor induces euphoria. Potential contaminant. Eyes present. Multiple. Still, silence from the intercom. I started sneaking samples home, wrapped in napkins, hidden in my lunch bag. Under my kitchen light, magnified with a cheap loupe I'd bought online, the truth stared back. They weren't shrimp. Segmented bodies, jointed legs folded tight, mandibles tucked beneath. Larval forms, perhaps, of something much larger. Deep-sea horrors, harvested from trenches no sub should reach. I searched online late at night. Forums about cryptic marine life. Leaked documents from oceanographic expeditions. Whispers of benthic anomalies caught in trawls off the continental shelf. Things that mimicked commercial species to infiltrate supply chains. Parasites that rewrote hosts from within. The itching spread everywhere. My back, my scalp, between my toes. In the mirror, my eyes had changed. Pupils slightly elongated. Irises flecked with that same iridescence. One shift, the slot opened, but no tray came. Instead, a voice. Finally, from the intercom. Not Marlene's. Deeper, resonant, like pressure waves in water. You've adapted well. Integration phase complete. The lights dimmed. The one-way mirror cleared, revealing not an observation room, but darkness, an abyss, lit by faint bioluminescence. Shapes moved beyond, massive, segmented, familiar. I looked down at my hands. The skin split painlessly, peeling back like a shell. Beneath, something pale and jointed flexed. Legs? Feelers? The tray arrived then, empty. An invitation. I understood. My job wasn't to test shrimp. It was to become the vessel, to carry them inland, spread the brood. The whispers clarified. We are the tide that returns. You are the bridge. I stepped toward the slot. It widened, accommodating. The air grew cold, briny. As I crossed the threshold into the wet dark beyond the wall, I felt the last of the old me slough away. Hunger remained, the eternal, patient hunger. Back in the lab, a new stool waited, a new tablet. Soon, another applicant would sign the form. I'm laying on this plate waiting for them. The horror doesn't end here. Choose the next nightmare for more chills.